Hey guys, this is Ed. I'm back for another episode of Interconnected. On a personal note, this has been a nice little break for me. It's been 5, maybe even 6 months. Within that time, I became a father. My wife Vicky gave birth to our wonderful son Bennett, and I've been trying to figure it out, trying to balance work and family and passion projects. That all being said, I'm glad to be back. This episode I actually recorded back in February, so it's a little late. At the same time, better late than never. I talked to one of my friends about homeschooling. One of the things I felt like I wanted to share as I was editing this latest episode was, I realized that storytelling comes in many forms. I think I knew that, but never really put it together in that sentence for myself. I feel like just being a business owner and thinking about marketing and branding, you're always thinking about a succinct way to tell your story, right? Imagine a situation where you're standing in front of someone and they're asking about your company, and you got like 10 seconds to tell them why they should care, why they should buy. And so I think that is one tool of storytelling, and definitely an important tool. At the same time, there's this other tool, which is tell me the story over the course of 30 minutes, over the course of an hour, and tell me the genesis of things, tell me the feelings, tell me the personal story behind those things, and how it relates to your company. I realized that I just really like that type of storytelling. I know it takes a little bit longer. It's not 10 seconds, right? But at the same time, kind of like this podcast, I see the beauty in the small things. And when I ask someone about their business, they may say, we do this, this, and this. But when someone tells me about their personal story and how those little stories relate to what they do, it goes deeper for me, and it gives me a deeper appreciation and a deeper understanding about that person, their value, not just in what they do, but in who they are. And so those are some kind of fun thoughts I had, epiphanies as I was editing. And since this is interconnected and we like to pile on everything and see how everything connects, I felt, hey, let me share that little nugget with you guys. So that's what I got for you. Listen in. I think that you will enjoy it. Welcome back to another episode of Interconnected. This is Ed here. If you've been following me for a few episodes, you would know that I'm just a guy who likes to seek the beauty, the purpose, the joy in weird overlaps. Today, I would like to talk about this overlap in life that a lot of us as parents have been forced into over the past year. And those two places would be school and home. There's a lot of layers to that. Students having to do learning at home and then teachers needing to do it virtually. And so this idea of homeschool, though, I wanted to talk about because it's actually been around for quite a while. And I wanted to bring on a guest who knows a lot about this area. Her name is AdLife. She has a company called Homeschool Coaches, and she also has some other projects going on. She's actually a real dear friend of ours. We started working with her when Vicky and I started Barnabas Robotics almost 7 years ago. She was one of those people who just really helped not only get us started, but really launch us and introduce us into the world of homeschooling. We had no idea about that world at all, but she's kind of introduced us to some families, and she saw the heart behind what we're doing and just brought us in with open arms. And so I wanted to give her an opportunity to kind of share her story as to why she started the company, and then also her personal journey in homeschooling as well. So, Abby, are you there?
Yes. Hi, Ed. Thank you so much. What a nice intro. I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome. How you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty good.
Good.
It's busy. It's very busy this time of year.
Yes, yes, yes. Just kind of as we get started, could you talk about homeschool coaches and just like a surface level, like what it is?
Yes, we offer classes and tutoring primarily to homeschoolers and others that are offered by highly experienced instructors that love what they're doing and are very good at what they're doing. That kind of makes us stand out a little bit more from other tutoring companies.
Very cool. And how long have you been doing this?
Oh my, I think I'm almost reaching 10 years.
10
I'm
years.
shocked. I needed this when my kids were little.
Tell me a little bit about that. So you said you needed this when your kids were little. Yeah, how
Yes.
did you come to that realization?
Well, my boys now they are 14 and 16 years old. But when they were about to enter kindergarten, my husband wanted me to homeschool. And I thought,
Mm,
ooh, you're crazy. That's a full time job. And I'm a business major.
mm,
And I thought, well, let me try kindergarten because, they know their alphabet, they know their numbers. If I mess them up, I can send them to first grade.
yeah,
So, and we also, of course, had my cousin who homeschooled her kids, and they're just amazing. They score off the charts with everything. So, of course, my husband's
yeah.
like, yeah, let's do that. And
Okay,
so,
yeah.
um, I did it for our first year when Tyler was in kindergarten, and I loved it. I really loved that quality time. It was really nice.
So you had a cousin who went through and did they do homeschooling through the whole K through 12 or just a certain period?
Yes, yes, and I think they have 5 kids, and they
Oh, wow.
homeschooled the oldest ones, almost completely. Maybe into high school they went on to high school, like public high schools, but she's definitely a natural teacher. She's an RN, so she knows the science very easily to teach them,
Mm,
and she's one of those moms that is just great, and natural teachers that are researching what books for language arts, here's the best math program. She was really, really involved. Um,
yes.
I'm not quite the same way. So
What context did you have at that time regarding homeschooling? You knew about it, didn't know about it?
Oh, I thought I knew enough, but really, once you dive in, it's amazing because, especially with my cousin, this was probably 15, almost 20 years ago.
Mm,
It was very different back then when you homeschooled. It was
okay,
very different compared to the way it is now. And so these are people that were very intentional and had thought about this often for years that this is what we're going to do. They're connecting in communities, they're going to conferences, they're coming up with their homeschool style, whether it's
okay.
Charlotte Mason or Waldorf. So they're very serious about the best ways to educate their children.
So when you say homeschool style, that's kinda like the pedagogy, the curriculum, that kinda stuff?
Yes, your whole philosophy and your
Philosophy, yeah.
approach to education.
And it could be totally customized, right?
Yes. And then whatever style you decide, then there's different curriculum for each style that you want to go
Mm,
for. And with me, I was just at the surface. I didn't even know that charter schools existed. And that's
okay.
really a newer phenomenon for people that don't know. There's a whole bunch of charter schools that cater to homeschoolers and help them along the way and have a teacher meet with them every month to guide them. But my cousin wasn't like
Mm.
that. I didn't even know that existed. It was just perchance that I learned that there were charter schools.
Let's park there for a second with the charter school. So my understanding is that you could do homeschooling without a charter school and then also do it with the charter school, right?
Exactly. Yes. So
Okay.
some people do the private school affidavit. If they want a little bit more guidance, they go with a private satellite program, or they go with a charter school usually.
Okay. So is it true then that if you don't go to charter school, then you kind of have more freedom in terms of your philosophy, your curriculum, that kind of thing?
Yes, because you don't have the state kind of guiding you and making
Got it.
sure like you're covering certain things.
Got it. Just so I have the terms here, so our listeners got it. So I'm seeing like two columns here. One column is the charter school route, and what's the other one?
The other one is PSA, which is private school affidavit, or
Okay.
PSP, which is private satellite program.
PSA or PSP. Okay, very good. We'll probably come back to that. Now, going back to your life story, right? So which one did you end up doing? The
Um, I ran into a woman who had been thinking about homeschooling, and she told me this was literally in a 3-minute crossing when we saw each other. She told
Okay.
me to look up charter schools, and I knew personally that I needed that extra guidance. I wanted to know, is my second grader on par with language arts? I needed that advice, and they will have that teacher help guide you through that.
Oh, okay. It sounds like you didn't have in your brain like, okay, I want to go with this philosophy and then thus this curriculum and that kind of thing. You wanted a little bit more, maybe guide rails, some guidelines.
Exactly. Yep.
Got it. Okay. So you're going to charter school and then you have two sons, and they're awesome, by the way. I've,
Thank
worked
you.
with them. Very smart. I love how they're so different.
Yes, they are.
They're great kids, very sharp and just awesome, fun to work with. And so Tyler, you're working with Tyler first, right? Or was it both at the same time or?
Yes, Tyler first is a kindergartner.
Okay, okay. So what I'm imagining is like you have your cousin and you said that she knew the philosophy, just she's researching, she's got the science and she's like kind of that natural teacher.
Yes.
That's what I'm hearing. Now you're saying you didn't quite have all that. So there must have been some hesitations, right? Some concerns like can I do this?
Absolutely. I was so thankful that she had given me books to how to get started, even how to handle it all. Because you've got dinner and a house to take care of, and
Mm,
chores and things like that, on top of homeschooling your kids. She gave me samples on what to use for curriculum, where to order them. And it was just key to get connected with other homeschoolers. And I think that's one of the biggest things for people if they're planning on homeschooling. It is so rich to get connected with other homeschoolers. Back in the day, it used to be play groups. When we were able to meet, we'd hang
mm,
out, the kids would play, and the moms and dads would sit around, and we would just so readily share advice and experiences and just relate to each other. These days, it is now on Facebook to just connect
mm,
and get advice. And it's beautiful because you have any question, say, what math curriculum should I use for my child who has ADHD, and
mm.
he's 12? And within half an hour, you'll have a dozen answers from moms and dads that have been there, and it's really sweet and so necessary to get plugged into a community.
So that's a big component then, right? Is getting
Huge.
getting plugged in to have that support. It sounds like probably no one has all the tools, right? But then
Oh my
together we
goodness.
can kind of share.
That's so true because every year, you might get second grade math down, and then next year they're in third grade. And so, all right, I've got to work on fractions now. So it's hard, especially when you don't have an education background for
Mm,
elementary school.
right, right. Okay, so then you got it sounds like your cousin was a great support to you at the time,
Yes,
right? Sharing
definitely.
some tips and then you start teaching. Would you say was that the first time you've taught or you've taught tutored in the past or how was that?
Well, I always did the Sunday school thing, which is once a week, and that I was able to handle. But
Cool.
when I had to really look at my day and how to homeschool two boys, and all the different subjects, personally, I was a bit overwhelmed.
Mm.
Um, and I knew what we loved doing together worked. We read the entire Chronicles of Narnia series, all however many books together, and that was really sweet quality time, and that was
Mm.
nice.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
and some of the fun activities, field trips, traveling, awesome, love that.
Mm.
Every now and
Mm.
then, though, when it came, I found, especially when it came to writing, that was
Mm.
a challenge. I didn't know how to approach it and approach it well, and it would cause some friction and frustration. And so I knew I needed some extra help.
So for you, naturally, some of the other subjects you could kind of, learn it and it was flowing with the writing then. So what did you end up doing?
One of my instructors with homeschool coaches, his name is Pat, and he writes for children's TV shows,
Oh,
and
wow.
he teaches creative writing. And so
Okay.
he was such a good match because he sat down with my boys and he kind of conversed with them, showed them how to just tell stories, and, let them know that basically when you tell a story, it's writing. And they wrote the most I've ever seen them write in their first lesson with him because he knew how to approach it. Came in
Yeah.
with a fresh mind. He helped the kids feel at ease and comfortable, and it was amazing to see because that's something he's really good at, and I clearly didn't connect with my sons the same way when it came to writing. And I don't
Mm.
know, sometimes I don't know if I could sometimes when I might be stressed or preoccupied with something else. It's just so awesome to have someone and come in with that fresh mind. And then as well, kids sometimes respond differently to someone else that's not their parent, even if they're saying the same thing, but it's different.
Yes. So I'm going to ask about that in a second, about the difference between teaching Sunday school kids and then teaching your sons, right? I wanted to ask you if there's a difference there.
Yes.
The other one was that, okay, so was his name is Pat, is that right?
Yes, Pat
So
Carey.
Pat Care. Okay, sounds awesome. Teaching creative writing, and at this point, I'm curious. Did homeschool coaches kind of launch already, or was it still incubating at that point?
At that point, we were probably around for 2 or 3 years and, just acquiring really highly experienced teachers like him. So
Got it.
it really started off probably when my kids were in about 1st grade, when I was with a charter school, they gave X amount of funding for classes, and I enrolled them in piano lessons and art classes, and, our instructional funds went really fast.
Mm,
And that meant, okay, after 4 or 5 months, we either need to pay out of pocket for piano, or to
mm,
stop taking piano, and same thing for art. And so I also wondered, what can we do to make this affordable so families can afford their piano teacher all year long, or same thing for art, or whatever the parent wants to outsource or get extra support on. Making it
mm.
affordable was a big thing because homeschooling families are usually single income.
You're trying to create a like a sustainable ecosystem, right? Where parents
Yes.
can have like, okay, your whole semester's covered, kind of thing.
Exactly,
Does
and
that make sense?
clearly, I can't teach my boys piano.
Yeah, yeah,
They wouldn't want me to teach them art as well too, and if I taught them math, they'd be in trouble. Because when I was in school, I memorized math. I don't know why you do what you do, but I know that when I see that, that's what I do, so
yeah,
and that's not a
yeah.
great way to go.
Okay, so this concept of being a homeschool parent and just kind of coming to terms that you're maybe not the best to teach all subjects, right? I mean, there might be people out there, and they're, that'd be amazing, right? If you could teach all subjects well. Like for
Yes.
me, I like writing. Maybe I could do some writing lessons. But this Pat person sounds awesome. I don't think I can beat that. You know,
Yes,
that kind of
especially
thing.
for young kids. And then, you move on to the older grades, and then
Yeah.
you need someone who can help them and encourage them and let them have fun writing an essay or a persuasive essay, or, just different kind of pieces. So the different skills at different levels and different things that teachers emphasize in are really, really exciting to see the variety out there.
So if you're to decide to homeschool, it doesn't mean that you're deciding to teach everything, right? Obviously.
Yes, yes, and
I
so
think that's
many
maybe a
people think that.
misconception. Yeah.
You're absolutely right. Yep, they think they've got this huge stack of books on the table and they're doing school at home, and yes, it doesn't have to look that way. It doesn't.
Hmm. Now, how did you come to terms with? Did you just know that because of your cousin, or you realize that after you failed teaching math, or?
I learned so much by failure. I
Oh,
really,
good,
really
good.
do. So yes, there was a lot of trial and error, and I will tell this to parents regularly, especially if they're new to homeschooling, is, plan out your year.
Okay.
See what happens. Don't feel bad if certain things just don't work, because a lot of us will have this goal and idea. This is what it's going to look like, and this is how it's going to go. We're going to have so much fun, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
sometimes certain things, the language arts or maybe the science, it just doesn't work,
Yeah.
and you're pulling out your hair. Your child is crying, and there are many. I would tell people at least once or twice a year you're going to have a meltdown, because I
Okay.
know I would, and a lot of other moms would, and dads, and they would just want to throw out the curriculum. They think, am I messing up my child? I can't do this. Is this a mistake? And
Mm,
no, those are the times you recalibrate and you look at, okay, that's not working, but this is working really well. How do we approach this? And it's beautiful because you can then even talk to your child about this, and you can
mm,
just solve that together and figure out, what can we do to make this better? and they learn so much even in those moments when you're problem solving together, and there's even just so much forgiveness with each other.
Wow.
Because I have had to apologize to Tyler, and I've told him I've never been a homeschooling mom of a 12-year-old before, so I'm sorry. I'm trying my best. I know you're trying your best. Let's see how we can work this out. So there's
Wow.
challenges.
And you guys can have that conversation, huh?
It's
That's
yeah.
great.
I love the amount of time I can spend with my boys. I'm so thankful.
Mm. It's humbling when you fail. That's one part. It's also frustrating, right? So you mentioned that to parents, right? It sounds like a couple times a year
Yes.
this will happen. Like don't freak out. Don't it's you're not alone. It happens to everyone, right?
Yes, and when you get in your community, whether it's your co-op,
Mm.
or your park group, or maybe it's your online Facebook group, it's just so comforting. It really does happen a lot, and with anything, you just address it, change it, and move on. And yeah, it's so worth it, though. I'm so glad I never gave up.
I got a couple more things here. Okay, so co-ops, we gotta talk about that a little bit. Like to someone who doesn't know what that is, like what is a co-op, right?
Yes.
And then actually let's just go there right now. So yeah, what is a homeschool co-ops? Like, I've taught at a few and they're all a little bit different. But
Yeah.
yeah, how would you describe it?
Imagine it like a middle school where every hour there's a different class happening, but it's
Okay.
for every grade, from kindergarten often up to 12th grade. And the true co-ops are parents at homeschool are
Okay.
teaching their kids and other kids, and there's a whole schedule mapped out. They're not as common anymore. They're super
Mm,
affordable when you can find them, and a lot of people still create them with a small group of families, and they're
mm,
awesome because your kids have their friends and they take classes together. More of the co-ops these days have professional teachers that are used to teaching homeschoolers, but again, the same
got
thing, a
it.
full day of classes.
Okay, so you said with the age range thing, you said K through 12, right?
Hmm.
Or is it always K through 12 or are they sometime to elementary or just middle or high school?
The bigger co-ops tend to have everything,
Okay.
everything,
Okay.
and then the smaller ones will usually be just with the age ranges of their kids. So it might just be only elementary school.
Got it. Got it. I see here that that pure model is pretty cool, right?
Yes.
Where it's just so it's self-contained, right?
Mhm.
Like I bring my kids and I think I can okay, I can teach robotics, right? I can teach the science. And then maybe someone else brings their kids and they're like, I'm an English major. I'll do the writing. And then someone else something
Absolutely.
like that.
Yes, it is beautiful because, we are all in it together. We're truly sharing our resources and just our love for teaching our kids. Those are the best environments. There are very few of them left. But as
Mm,
long as you get connected, get on those Facebook groups, you can ask about some of these amazing co ops.
got it. And it seems like some of them have there's different interests, interest groups, stuff like that as well.
You got it.
Like,
Yeah, especially when it comes down to the skills of some of the leaders, because you'll
mm,
find some that are very performing arts oriented because a
mm,
lot of
mm,
the
mm.
parents may go that route. And it's been my goal to start a math co-op for so long. I really
Yeah.
just want a math, science, just exploring it and having fun with math.
So kind of like a like in the world of public charter schools, right? They'll have like a magnet school. They're a STEM school, something like that, but at a
Exactly.
smaller scale.
Yes, and that's the wonderful thing with homeschooling. You can cater it to whatever your child's interests are and strengths and just pursue that, even if it's for a season. So it's really so much freedom in homeschooling, whether it's with a charter or privately.
Now, if you join a co-op, do you need to be a PSA PSP or charter school, or it doesn't matter?
It doesn't matter. Anybody
Okay.
can join.
Got it. All right, so going back to your life story. So you start doing the homeschooling. Oh yeah, I don't want to forget. So you said you're teaching Sunday school at church. Is that right?
Yes, and
Okay,
so
so
it was
yeah,
nice and easy to teach once a
that's
week
what I was
for
going
an
to ask
hour.
you.
Yeah,
Okay.
I can handle that. Ironically, I have educators in my family. My mom was an educator, 2 of my siblings are educators. For me personally, um, I can teach for an hour once a week, and I'm great. But
Mm,
every day, what these teachers with homeschool coaches do, I would be exhausted. I'm a natural introvert. I'm sure it doesn't sound
Mm.
like that. But I really am exhausted. After teaching for an hour, I am done talking to everybody for the rest of the day, and
Yeah.
I'm spent. So for me personally, it takes a lot of energy out to teach. And
Yeah.
so
Yeah.
I recognize as a homeschooling mom, that's kind of a weakness for me.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah.
Kinda. But that's where I knew, okay, I need to outsource. Whether it's my co-op, whether it's okay, Dad, this is on your list. Can you cover these subjects with the boys? And pulling in other people and knowing my limits and knowing what I know we can do well and what I can help allocate with the boys that they can do on their own as well. So creating that schedule, and every homeschooler schedule is different,
Mm.
because I know a lot of people will ask, "What does your schedule look like?"
Mm.
Every You ask that to 100 homeschoolers, you'll get 100 different answers.
Yeah, yeah. And yeah, I kind of laugh because, we've worked together and trying to put on classes, right? And we're trying to
Yes.
figure out what's the best day and time, and it's kind
Yes.
of like there is none. It's, because we all have different schedules, right?
Absolutely. Yes. But it is nice to get started around 9 or 10 if you're like
Mhm.
not a morning person. And then some people and some families are just night people. So they'll do their homework and studying or their lessons in the evenings because that's just how they roll.
Yeah, so you got that flexibility. That
Yes.
Okay, so let's talk about some of the benefits of homeschooling. So just hearing from you, just so far we've been chatting. One is quality time with your kids. That sounds like it's been a benefit. Flexibility,
Yes.
um,
Oh, let me add vacations. It was wonderful when
vacations.
my husband had to go away to like
Yeah.
DC, and his work got him a hotel room. We would just tag along and we would
Mm.
explore DC or Chicago. So it was so nice to travel during off season. It's so, so nice. The flights are
Oh,
cheaper.
right.
Absolutely, because we would go maybe in April or September. And so everything is cheaper and it was just so nice.
So you got, yeah, that flex because you don't have to go during spring break or
Yes,
whatever the holiday, right?
absolutely.
Okay.
You know
Anything else would you add to that?
one of the other pros I would say is it's part of quality time, but it's also to kind of be your kid's cheerleader or mentor because there's so many different opportunities to connect with them, whether, they may be watching the news with you and to help them analyze what's happening and to kind of share different thoughts and perspectives that normally, conversations don't often go to that level. Or
Mm,
even just like, I was so in awe with this other mom who was telling me how they'll watch a commercial with her kids, and she'll ask them, "What do you think the marketer's message was to that? What do you think they're trying to tell you?" Because she wants to help them decipher, some of the conditioning that happens in marketing and on
sure,
commercials. And it
sure.
was just so nice. And, that can even go down to, why do you think that person treated you that way, to help them analyze what's around them. So it's not always in the textbook. It's just the life learning and exploring together and helping them analyze, and even analyzing their own feelings on things.
As you're saying that, it makes me think about this. If we were to just put out kind of polar opposites, one way to think about education is that it's in the classroom, right?
Yeah.
Or in the textbook, whether it's a homeschool or at a public school or a private school, but it's in the textbooks. And another kind of way is like learning is all the time, right?
Yes.
It's even when we're watching TV, even when we're having dinner, right, and talking about what happened with our friends today. Would you say that you as a homeschool parent has kind of helped you kind of think in that mode a little bit more?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's unique in the fact that, well, once my kids got to about sixth, seventh grade, they actually decided they want to check out public school. And I was
Okay.
very in for that because I didn't want them to grow up without knowing what school is like.
Mm,
And I was very nervous about that because, one, a lot of homeschoolers wonder, are my kids going to be able to handle it? Are they up to par when it
mm.
comes to math and language arts and science and everything else? And so I was really nervous about that. I ended up sending them to school, public school, and they ended up doing fine,
Mm,
excelling, loving it. Um, but it was nice that they got to taste both worlds. And but the reason I brought up that story as well is because I remember that when I was in high school, there was one teacher in particular that was different,
mm,
where it wasn't the typical class where I absorbed the information and the test came along and I spit it all back out and
right, right.
needed to earn the grade that I wanted. With this teacher, she would ask us questions and ask us why and really make us analyze and not just memorize. And her name was Dr. Brown. She was my English teacher.
Yeah.
And it was amazing because that was one of the first times that I felt like I was being heard, but
Mm,
also that I needed to analyze, why did I think the way I did? Whether we're reading literature about any subject and applying that to our life and then analyzing it and then spitting it out, of course, back on an essay, or even some tests. But how wonderful that we can take our kids to this level where it's not just memorize, 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 here's the test, but apply it. Think about it, churn on it a little bit and see, what other ideas come out of it. And I think
right.
that's just such an exciting thing to be able to offer our children. And I have to add that I'm so excited that Dr. Brown is on the homeschool coaches team, and she's even teaching my own kids now, and I love it because
Really?
she
Awesome.
is. It is so exciting because I know now they are going to be analyzing things really well, and I even know I don't know how to do that the way she does, and I'm so grateful that there are teachers like that that will take it out of the regular context of school. And I got to say, I think you probably have met this teacher before. He's
Mhm.
really busy, he's not able to teach with us right now, but
Mm.
Coach Francisco is one of my favorites.
Yeah.
Francisco Carranza,
Yeah.
because he was a UCLA graduate, credentialed teacher in history, a mixed martial arts instructor. And so,
Uh-huh.
what was glorious is it wasn't just, okay, read history. Now, I'll say the boys and I would read the history chapters together. Francisco would come along. I'd say, here's what they learned. He doesn't even have to look up anything. I just gave him the titles of the chapter, and he sits down with them and tells them uh, about any historic figure, what's significant about them, why what he did was so unique in history, why it's important to know it, the background. And this is someone who loves history and knows how to
Right.
communicate it with children and get them curious too. My son will then ask another question about it. I don't know how to answer it. He would be able to because he's got that experience. And then another day, Chris would ask him, "How do you get out of a headlock?" And he showed him because a kid had gotten him into a headlock, I think at a co op. And it was just amazing because we need that community, and we all want the best for our kids. And to have
Sure, yeah.
people who
Yeah.
love and know their subject and know how to teach it gets so exciting. The kids are excited about it. Parents are excited. I would be in the kitchen trying to chop carrots as quietly as possible so I can overhear their lesson because I was so fascinated with everything Francisco was saying. And to be able to capture a sixth grader's imagination as well too and help them understand history, gosh, that's a gift. That really is. I gotta say, I think one of the coolest things about my job is to connect with people that love these subjects, whether it's you, robotics, business, the entrepreneurial stuff, that children can connect with you because they can feel that passion and the gift of teaching. I so admire
Mm.
teachers and what they can bring, and their experience is just amazing. It makes all the difference.
Yeah, I'm digesting all that. I love it. What's kind of popping into my head is that we can call it homeschool, and when we think of homeschool, I think probably a lot of us just think of like a single home and
Mm,
then learning in it. But what you're describing is a whole community. You're
right.
talking about several homes, several families coming together, and then teachers as well, right?
Yes. Oh, I need people to help me. Even this last weekend, my older brother came
Yeah.
over. He's really good at baking bread. He took the time to teach Tyler how to make really good bread. And just, the one on one, the quality time, the ability to just have your kids around other adults that are caring and excelling at different things. It's all so rich, such a good environment.
Makes me excited to homeschool. You know, it makes
Are
me
you?
one because we're having a child soon,
Yeah.
and, I remember when we first started working with Yabby, like I said in the intro, we didn't really know much about homeschool, but as we're kinda hanging out, learning more, serving the families, serving the kids, we're like, "This is kinda cool."
Oh my gosh. I'm so glad I did it.
We'll see, you know? Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Because you've met my Christopher. He is a little, I don't know if you know, but virtually every week he's exploring and has so many questions about different things. And I'm so excited that I have him matched up with a really amazing instructor. His name
Mm.
is I'm sure you've met him too, James Wigglesworth.
Yeah,
And
James, yeah.
not only can he cover math, but any kind of physics and chemistry question that Chris comes up with, he can help answer it. And if he doesn't know the answer, together they'll go online and figure out how to find these answers and how to find good quality answers as well too. And it's just nice because clearly I can't do that. And he feels like James is his very smart friend where he can ask him anything. And it's so exciting because he'll help him explore whatever is the next thing he wants to learn about. And it's so fun when they get empowered to know how to find the information and
Mhm.
pursue it and then love it. It's not like, oh, I've got to memorize all these things for chemistry. It's I'm playing with this hairspray and here's a here's a match. you know, he's I do
Of
watch him.
course.
I do have
Yeah,
a water hose nearby when he's
yeah,
doing these things,
of course.
but
Yeah, yeah.
there's nothing like the hands-on exploring when the child is ready and curious about certain subjects.
Yeah, I'm just thinking of Chris just working with them, and I'm not surprised with the
Yeah.
hair. Yeah.
Oh,
What
yes.
if I did this? What yeah. So
Uh-huh.
the word that I'm kind of getting is like it's individualized. And I could see that's another, benefit of the homeschool route
Yes.
compared to the institutional, public district private schools. Now, what would you say if you had a parent that was kind of thinking about homeschooling and they asked, what do I need to prepare for? Like, what are the, not necessarily cons, right? But the challenges of homeschooling, what would you say those things are? We talked a little bit about you might not be able to teach math, right? And kind
Yes.
of going through that, but
Yes.
stuff like that.
Gosh, there's just so many different things that people experience and are challenges, and it depends on your personality as well too.
Okay.
So sometimes you might be tired. You might not be in the mood as
Mm,
as a mom. Life might happen.
yeah,
A lot of people in our generation right now are also supporting their parents with
yeah, yeah.
medical appointments and so things like that. So sometimes life happens. Sometimes maybe you didn't progress as far in the social studies or language arts and spelling as you wanted to. Oh gosh, one of the other things is you might compare your child to other people's children. And that's a tough
Mm,
thing as well because you see them excelling in different areas. What I want to add to that is one, you know your child best. You know their skills, their interests, you know what will work well for them, you know some of their weaknesses. That's a huge thing. So you can help work and address and help them with those kind of things.
mm.
Another thing is I wouldn't worry about are they falling behind,
Okay, yeah.
especially when they're comparing with other people, because some of the other tools you're giving them are by far greater. Like I said before, when I sent them to school, I was really concerned. Can they handle it in the classroom? Are they going to be behind in math and language arts and writing? And those were really valid concerns of mine because I knew my children's skill level when it came to writing. And they learn so quickly. They adapt so quickly. And in talking to other homeschooling moms, and even, some teachers have seen homeschoolers thrown into public schools and they learn very quickly and adapt. And I
Mm,
wouldn't worry about that because what's nice is during some of these times at home when you're homeschooling your kids, you're helping to build their confidence. You're helping to build their ability to figure things out and to excel. And a lot of the homeschooling kids that I've seen that have gone to public schools and other schools, they do just fine. So don't be worried about that. Don't be worried. Am I messing them up? Are they falling behind? they will learn very quickly and they adapt amazingly well. And then, of course, when they
Mm,
find what they love, they're going to excel. And, that gets me to other subjects as well, too. But I wouldn't worry. There's going to be some tough days as well. But the pros, I would never trade what our years of homeschooling, because I
yeah.
know in a few more years they're going to be in college, and it's going to be radically different, very
Yeah,
different.
yeah. Yeah, it's interesting you mentioned the comparison thing because I was just thinking that, yeah, I think at some level, parents in any school situation would have that, but then I was thinking, well, if maybe, if I'm a homeschool parent and then I'm struggling with that comparison thing, and then maybe there's that other layer where it's like, if they're falling behind, it's like my fault because I'm the
Yes.
teacher, right? Is
Right.
that kind of the element that the kind of
Yeah,
force that's going on there?
absolutely. The
Mm.
extra pressure on parents and how they're
Yeah,
feeling about
yeah,
that. I got to tell you a story as well too, because
yeah,
like I said, it is so helpful to learn from other moms. And I got to tell you, there was one time our co op, it was called Wish. We had a panel of
yeah.
homeschooling moms up there, and they're answering these very candid questions, a lot of the ones that you're asking me. And
Mm,
it was really, really cool because there was one mom in particular. I was so comforted by what she was saying. And she was saying things like, no, my kid isn't the best at math. He's
mm,
not the best at writing. But look, we built this computer. It's
mhm.
great. And, my child, they might not excel at this, but, look at what you're doing with homeschooling and all these other areas that they're growing. She was really keeping the focus on, don't worry so much about the numbers, the stats, and where you're going. Help build up the child. I got to
Yeah.
tell you, this mom, this is Maggie Bear. This is the mom of Billie Eilish and Phineas. And they were homeschooled out here. And I remember,
Actually, I remember Jody, right?
yes,
So that's the mom. That's
that is
the
the mom. Jody is the
wow.
leader of Wish, which is a really great co-op out here in Southern California. And
Yeah.
yeah, Billie Eilish was part of that co-op for many years. And Billie's mom taught songwriting classes there. Jody,
Mm,
who's super good at drama, would teach acting classes. It was such a beautiful environment. But again, it was an environment where you can connect with other moms and really be very real and candid about some of the challenges. And she was
mm,
so beautifully humble, and look at her
mm.
kids now. It was just
Yeah, yeah.
amazing, amazing to hear that, and, allow your kids to explore what they want, and that's what she did, and it clearly I think it worked pretty well for them.
I think so.
Yeah,
It's this is kinda deep, I think, but I feel like the homeschooling journey, you're gonna face some insecurities,
yeah,
we've talked about, "Oh, I'm not good at teaching math, like, how am I gonna wrestle with that," right? Or
yes,
if my, child is struggling in this area, like, how do I handle that? And sometimes, like, we could probably mess that up as parents, but then, like, as we get through it with community, right? And then going in that journey together, I could see that, if we help ourselves as parents, but then also our kids at the same time work through all those things, they're going to end up stronger individuals.
absolutely. All the
Hmm.
different things you guys work through together on a daily basis, absolutely.
So it's just like exercise in vulnerability or something like that.
Yes, you got it. There's so much to learn, so much. And to have these kids not afraid of learning and tackling some of these new things and just that confidence, it's great.
All right. Before I let you go, I want to talk a little bit about your teachers. So, how many teachers do you think are within homeschool coaches?
We have over 100 in
Yeah, I
all
figured it was a lot. Yeah.
subjects. Yes, I'm in awe because this really started off with I need someone to help my kids with math and writing,
Right.
and clearly other parents want the same kind of support. And we have been very blessed where out of all 100 instructors, everyone has been either referred by a teacher or a homeschooling parent. So we're very selective on who we
Mm,
connect with families because we want to offer them the best. We want the best for our kids. And it's such an honor to be able to connect homeschooling parents with really great teachers. And I got to add, when I have a family that comes to me and they say they want like a math teacher or a
Yeah.
language arts teacher, I'll ask, okay, so tell me more about your child. What are they
Mm,
interested in? What are their strengths, weaknesses? Because what I want to do is then find the instructor that will connect best, not with just with what their goals are, but even their personality as well too.
mm.
Do they need a math instructor that's kind of young male who plays video games? Great. Here's Coach Rucker. No
Yeah,
problem.
yeah,
And then that
yeah.
extra connection between the teacher and the student just helps. There's something about that people are just kids are more receptive to. And those are the kind of connections that I really enjoy. So I love hearing what parents are looking for, even if it's off the wall, even if it's like, my child wants to be an American Ninja Warrior. That was actually someone had asked me that before. And I
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
yes, I do have an instructor that can help you with that. And so it's just so fun to see what they're interested in. And we've done this with your business as well too, where Tyler wants to make a lamp. Can you help
Sure.
him do
Yeah.
it? And you
Yeah,
did.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah,
helped him
yeah.
design the 3D, and then he printed it, and then you guys wired it. That's really amazing. I got to tell you, he's printing something right now that's kind of related to that, where he's, uh,
Awesome.
yeah, he's using the same skills he learned from you, and it's pretty cool.
That's so cool. I'm gonna have to reach out to him, see what he's up to. That's pretty cool. That's good to hear.
Yeah, it's fun.
So it seems like the past 5 to 10 years, something like that, there's been a push for STEM. So I see a lot of more tutoring in engineering or science. Have there been other trends that you've seen recently?
American Sign Language is becoming very popular, and I have a
Really?
feeling it might be because, we're watching all these COVID announcements and there's someone in the background doing that. So that has
Could be.
grown.
So that's like that's hot right now.
It
Huh.
is, it is. I've been trying to lock in more American Sign Language
Yeah,
teachers, and
okay.
they're great.
So if anyone teaches ASL out there, right?
Yes.
Reach out to Abby.
And always, the hands-on kind of classes and activities are always so wonderful, whether it's science or even if you can incorporate that with math,
Mm,
and even different games to just help make learning fun. So, so good. And because we've had to go online on the Homeschool Coaches website, we now have AdLife, which is short for Advanced Life Education. And we have well over 150 different classes using our homeschool coaches. And these are our best instructors. They are offering everything you can imagine, from chess to entomology to calligraphy, all the core, of course, the math, language arts, writing, rescue from the Holocaust. Tomorrow, we're starting a class on human rights. And
oh
these
wow.
are, again, people that have worked in this industry. The Holocaust person, he's getting his PhD in this. It's
Mm,
just so great. And, we also have our music teachers. Our cello instructor literally has a master's in cello from UCLA. It's just amazing. Again, when you have a teacher that loves this and can get your child to love this too, it's just such a great combination.
cool. And AdLife is 100% virtual, or is it kind of a mix?
100% virtual. Yes. So no matter where you are, you can take these classes, and you can do this from anywhere. We are seeing people from all over the state of California. And also, one small little tidbit I got to throw out is we have a
Mhm.
team mom program for AdLife, which means, if a mom likes these classes, they could sign up as a team mom. They get 10% off every class that they
Mm,
take. And then they can actually give their promo code to other parents. They get 10% off these classes, but the team mom will get a credit or a reward in their account where they can get 5 or 10% off, 10% of whatever their friends register for, and they can actually cash that out, pay for a vacation in the future, or even just roll those funds over to any of the other ad life classes, because there's just so much fun stuff to take that we'd love to be able to reward families in that way.
awesome. Yeah, and so later, Abby, I can put these links on the show notes so people
Awesome.
can find that. I think we're good. We've covered a lot of ground. I want to thank you for your time, and I guess the last thing I want to give you the opportunity to do. My company is Barnabas Robotics, and Barnabas means son of encouragement. So I'm just all about encouraging. what word of encouragement could you give to parents right now who are figuring out how to teach their kids at home?
Oh gosh, I know that's hard. I absolutely feel for these parents because they're usually also working their full-time job, making sure
Mm,
their kids are in their classes and doing their homework, all while everyone's at home on the internet. It is overwhelming. It is tough. I would encourage everybody to not be so hard on themselves or their kids
mm,
as well too. It is a struggle for everybody to adjust with. I have heard of many very good students that were doing great in public
yeah,
school, but now they are having to adjust to this dramatically different online environment without their friends and what they're used to. And they're really struggling. And I can
mm,
imagine parents are stressed as well too, because they're not used to their kids getting the grades they're getting and they're concerned, are they learning what they're supposed to be learning? And I
yeah,
think one, I feel for them, and two, I know that I want to encourage them that it's not the end of the world in that, if they're getting bad grades, they're going to be fine. Build them up in that confidence, the help make learning fun in the areas that they do enjoy, whether
yeah.
it's reading together, exploring together, maybe they love science and math, maybe just incorporating the science, because you'll be surprised. Your kids are going to catch up really, really fast and they're going to be just fine, even during this very strange year and a half of education and what it's going to look like. I think the biggest thing is to look at your mental health and your child's mental health as well, too. Because,
That's
yeah,
good.
those are huge. Those are huge, and it's gonna work out. It's gonna be good, and we can't change very much about it right now, so may as well make the best out of it and enjoy that time. Pull out the board games. There's so much learning that could be done with
Mm.
board games. Get a few different ones. I was actually amazed how many kids do not know a lot of the basic card games that a lot of us grew up with.
The card
Whether
games,
it's
yeah.
Go Fish or Speed or Spoons. There's so much fun, so much learning, and so much quality time that, let's make the best out of it. Let's make lemonade.
I love it. I feel like when we are in tough situations, the first thing that hits, it's like a shock to the system,
Yeah.
right? Maybe it's frustration toward the world, maybe it's frustration towards yourself. But just hearing, your words of encouragement, right? To have forgiveness for yourself, right? And others,
And
whether
your
it's
kids.
and your kids,
Your
and
kids.
maybe it's and maybe the teachers, in the class, like who are teaching through the virtual portal, right? But just
Mhm.
like having grace, forgiveness there, which would maybe help us kind of get through that initial shock. But then also, and I've experienced this as you were talking, I realized that, whenever hardship comes my way, it's in those times that you kind of get stripped down a little bit,
Mhm.
where you can actually, maybe you'll find like a new strength, or you'll find like what matters to you, those kind of things. And there's an opportunity to seek those things out and to grow and foster them during this time. Like you said,
Absolutely.
certain subject, or even maybe through the games, stuff like that, that quality time. Those are things you could take advantage of right now.
Absolutely. And the grades aren't going to be the best right now. Accept
Mm,
it, let it
mm,
go. Your
mm.
kids are still brilliant and smart and curious. Yes, and everything will be fine.
Some good words, Abby. Thank you very much.
Oh, thank you, Ed. This has been fun.
Cool. All right. Well, that's it for now, and I guess we'll keep in touch.
All right, sounds
All
great.
right. Bye bye.
Bye.